Welcome to another Berlin-Peck Memorial Library Take and Make video tutorial. Today's project is paper orbs. Before we begin, I'd like to say a big thank you to creativeinchicago.com for the templates and the blog post for these paper orbs. These are very simple to make. All you need is some paper and markers or some kind of coloring device. So it can be any kind of marker, but it's super simple to make. In your kit from the library, you are going to receive the supplies on cardstock, but you can use this on watercolor. You can do this with watercolor paper or even the inside of like a cereal box, and I'll show you how to do that to get a different effect. You can color them with acrylic paints or Sharpies or regular markers or colored pencils, so you really can do anything that you want with these once you make them. And it's just a beautiful little statement piece that you can stick somewhere in your home. So let's get started. Here are the supplies you'll need at home: a pair of scissors, a ballpoint pen, something to color with, and some Scotch tape. You can also use a glue stick or Elmer's glue or a hot glue gun if you prefer, instead of the Scotch tape. All of them will work. These are the templates that you'll receive in your Take and Make kit. I have modified the original template from Creative in Chicago so that you will get 3 different sizes of templates, resulting in 3 different size orbs: a small, a medium, and a large. On the template, you'll notice there are solid lines, which are your cut lines. You're going to cut on those lines, and dotted lines, which are the score lines. You can do the scoring with a number of things. I'm suggesting a ballpoint pen because it's something easy that everybody has, but you could also use the back side of a butter knife, the smooth part. You don't want to cut through the paper. All you're doing is just creating a score line to allow for easier folding later on. So all of these you're going to go over and score. You can also score on this line, but I feel it's not entirely necessary, so you can decide that on your own. It's really just to show you how far to overlap when you turn these into a circle, when you tape them together. I have already cut my strips apart, and I'm going to show you how to do the scoring the best way that I have found. I have underneath my work surface here is a little piece of cardboard. If you have that, that's a great thing to use for the scoring, because you want something that's going to have a little bit of give under the paper. You don't want to do this on a hard surface, otherwise you won't get a score line. You could also use a little piece of fabric. This is a scrap piece of felt that I happen to have, and put that underneath your cardstock. You could use a section of the newspaper. So whatever you have that will allow the surface to have a little bit of give underneath. So you can see I've already done this score line. I'm going to show you. It's just a matter of tracing, and you do want to apply some pressure. Go slowly and apply pressure so that that pressure will result in a score line underneath. This makes it much easier for the paper to fold the way you want it to. And you should be able to see the score lines there on the back side. So once we come to fold this, the paper will want to fold where we need it to fold. So continue and complete all the score lines, marking all those score lines, and then we will continue. Okay, now my strips are completely ready. They're cut, they are scored, and we're ready to assemble the orb. So make sure that you have your marked side on the inside, and we're just going to make a loop with this first one. I am lining up the inside edge with that score mark that I created. And I'm just going to use the Scotch tape to hold those edges together. I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. Do not put your third one together though. That one has to go in between the others. Now we're going to put these two orbs together. So one slips inside the other, and you want to make sure that you rotate these so the line where you have joined your edges, it's kind of hard to see there, you can see it, is behind the other circle, and also that you see these score lines on the exposed edges. So I have mine lined up. And now it's time to put the third one through. I'm just feeding this third strip through the other two. And again, you're going to overlap right where that end score line is. Tape your ends. Now, you want to gently rotate this so that you can see the score lines. I know it's hard to see on the video, but once I fold them down, you'll see where they are. This is easy to see when you're doing it in person. Okay, so the edge of my score line is right there. So you want to double check everything, make sure that you can see those score lines on each side. And then it's just very simple to go along. Those score lines are going to make it easy for you to fold them down. And you can see, so right here, I can see the little edge where I joined. So I want to rotate this one before I do any more folding. I don't want to see that on my finished product. And then continue around your orb, folding along all your score lines. And once you've folded those down, you will have the completed shape of your orb. Now's the time where you get to be creative and just doodle. So you can do any combination of doodles. You can do solids, you can do stripes. You can see I've done an assortment. On this one, I've done different things on different sides of the orb, and I have matched my opposite patterns on this one. On the others, I've done the same pattern on each of these little folded areas, and then different designs on sort of the outer edges. This one I've kept it the same all the way around, stripes on all of these, and then the same little dotted pattern on all of the outer edges. So you really can do whatever you like, just have fun with it and play. Finally, here's how you can modify this and make your orb out of other types of paper. Cut out the strip of your template just as normal and trace that shape onto the paper that you want to use. As I mentioned, watercolor paper is great, very thin cardboard like a cereal box, or a thick craft paper. Just make sure it's something thicker that's going to stand up. It's printer paper will not work. So put this on your paper and just trace the shape. Then create another template piece, or use this one and just cut out along the score lines. So I have cut on all the score lines so that I can trace those score lines. And the nice thing is, if you have it on a surface, you can kind of do the scoring and the tracing at the same time, like I'm doing. So trace those score lines. Just repeat this 2 more times and then cut out your strips and continue as before. We love to see what you create with our Take and Make kits. You are always encouraged and welcome to share them with us on social media or email them to the library. Happy crafting!